This is a good movie podcast with Katie and Joe.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of This is a Good Movie podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Katie Etledge.
I'm the other one.
Oh, I thought I'd like throw it to you, but you just joined right in.
And my name is Joe Bates.
Yep.
I'm co-host
To the stars.
Yeah, co-host to the stars.
Co-host to the stars.
The stars via the medium of movie or film that we see them in and then transfer that to this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Got that going for me. It's on my resume.
Is it?
Yeah, that's like under special skills, star medium.
Special skills, that's where people lie about things.
Okay. I'm never hiring you now that I found out you lie in your resume.
What would you hire me for?
Well, in improv, questions is always the
I'm
way to
just
go.
confused because I'm your wife. So you hired me forever.
I didn't hire you. I need that to be established. I did not hire my wife. I would
in a way.
I don't think in a way either. I don't think in none of the ways.
Yeah, through the website.
Well, no. Yeah. I do need to call them about getting some money back. Anyways, no, I'd hire you for running social media. I'd hire you to do something like that.
Thanks. I don't make our social media posts though.
You do a lot of it.
I write the captions usually.
Yeah, I'm not good.
That's why they sound so good when you read them to yourself.
So
everyone.
you are good at it then.
Yep. But I don't make the videos. You make the videos.
Yeah, I make the little videos, which is just me Googling an image I'm thinking, and then luckily Google has it. So maybe I'm stealing. I don't know.
Well, let's not get into that.
Well, let's get into today's movie.
Yes, let's. Okay, so I watched again. You watched for the first time.
I think they've got the established idea, though.
What if someone's tuning in just now because this is their favorite movie? And so now they were like, I really want to listen to a podcast.
I really want to watch this movie.
Watch a podcast.
Will the podcast tell me how I can watch the movie?
Well, yes.
We will.
We will.
It's taking a life of its own. But yeah, no, we basically each episode, one of us recommends a movie to the other person that's never seen it. They watch it. They determine, is this a good movie? Ergo podcast.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the recap. So this week, I had you watch Silver Linings Playbook.
Yes.
A great film from the good old year of 2012. So we have
a decade later.
Yeah, we have expanded our horizons a little bit.
We have.
Mm-hmm. You had not seen this film. What did you think it was going to be about?
I would say that I thought the movie, and I don't think I was far off with what the movie ended up being.
Okay.
I thought the movie was going to be mentally ill people in love and gambling, is what I wrote down beforehand. Because I remember this getting some Oscar talks, and I remember him wearing a trash bag on his body, which I thought the trash bag would be like kind of oh, there's something wrong with him. But now I get why
he's just losing weight.
Yeah.
He's just getting in shape.
And I knew Robert De Niro was a gambler on the games and stuff. So, no, I feel like you want to say exactly what the movie was?
Sure, I will. So Bradley Cooper plays Pat, and the film opens and he is in a mental institution. And over the first 20 minutes or so, we come to find out that he had an incident where he found out that his wife was cheating on him, and he just sort of lost it and beat up the guy that she was cheating on him with.
Fair reaction.
Yeah. And then he gets diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he's now being released to his parents. And then we kind of see him start to do a little bit better. He's trying to get back with his ex-wife, so he wants her to see that he is doing really well. And in that process, he comes to meet Tiffany, played by Jennifer Lawrence, and she's like, I'll help you get back together with Nikki if you do this dance competition with me. And so then he after, some reluctance, does the dance competition, and in doing so, they fall for each other instead. And also there's football and gambling.
And that's what they call an elevator pitch. Such a long description of the movie.
Sorry.
But it is what happens in the movie.
It is what happens in the movie.
And that's basically what it is. Is Bradley Cooper trying to handle his capabilities, his own issues, his way, and then the help of people around him.
Yeah, I think he's like a pretty caring person in this. Like, cares about his family and friends. He's trying to help his buddy Chris Tucker out.
I feel like the beginning. So this movie, you said the movie is 2011?
2012.
2012. So just to establish this thing, they're in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Which I think is important because the Eagles, who they cheer for, they would win a Super Bowl, I guess 2018. I guess it wasn't around then. So 6 years after this movie, they would end up winning the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yes, they did. And Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence went to a lot of the games and maybe even went to the Super Bowl game. They are now like big, well, Bradley Cooper's always been an Eagles fan, I guess. And now
so
Jennifer
Bradley
Lawrence
Cooper's
is
from
too.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, so they went to games during the filming of this and now are fans, so.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So this movie, do you have, if you're going to watch, I haven't seen the movie, if you want to watch it.
Right. If you want to pause right now go watch the movie on Netflix.
On Netflix, yes.
On
It's
Netflix.
on Netflix.
You should make yourself a little snack, and that snack should be Krabby Snacks and Homemades.
Oh, Krabby Snacks is a good call. That's a good call, because I do want Krabby Snacks.
Do you know what Krabby Snacks are?
Not a clue.
Okay.
I think it's imitation crab.
Yeah, you're not too far off. So
You want to see my imitation of a crab? Click, 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 click.
Joe is doing the classic crab hand movement, which none of you can see. So
I'm going sideways.
And he's also making some sideways jerky movements. Anyway, Krabby Snacks and Homemades are something that in the movie Bradley Cooper's mom, played by Jackie Weaver, Dolores, whenever they're watching football on Sunday, she's always like, I'm making Krabby Snacks and Homemades.
I'm making the Krabby
Snacks and Homemades. She's like such an interesting voice. No one knew what those were when this came out. People all were kind of like, I guess that's a Philly thing. And then everyone in Philly was like, we don't know what that is either. Now, this is pulled from the book. So this was a book written by Matthew Quick, and in it, he talks about Krabby Snacks and Homemades. And still no one knew what these were until finally there was like an interview with him where he explained that this is something his own mom used to make. And it is, Krabby Snacks are like imitation crab and cheese mixed together and like on a cracker.
If you're making football food, it's going to be something smothered in cheese or to dip in cheese. It's very cheese-based.
It's very cheese-based. And then Homemades are like a sausage roll.
Okay. Why did you pick this movie?
Well, I kind of mentioned it in the last episode, but Bradley Cooper is Oscar nominated this year for Maestro. Robert De Niro, also Oscar nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon. Jennifer Lawrence, not Oscar nominated this year, but she was nominated for the Golden Globe with No Hard Feelings. So I feel like they're all in the conversation right now. Like they're in the zeitgeist at the moment. So
I mean, she was the Golden Globes. So
I figured this is, why not watch it right now? Plus, the Oscars are coming up. This has a lot of Oscars stuff going on with it, and it's football season. We'll have the Super Bowl soon. The Eagles aren't in it.
The Eagles are not in it. They were a huge disappointment at the end of the season.
Yep. But it just made sense to me right now. And I really think that it's a good movie. I hadn't seen it in a while, but I remembered it being really like endearing, and I think that's still true. So I was excited for you to see it and hear what you think.
Yeah, I'll tell you the start of this movie. And we'll get into details about it, but the start of this movie, probably like the first 20, 30 minutes of it, I was not enjoying this movie.
Okay.
It was just, it felt very like, and I know that like they're trying to edit it and direct it in a way that it seems like what he's going through. Mm-hmm. But it was just everybody in it I didn't like. I liked nobody in the movie.
You didn't even like Chris Tucker?
I didn't. No, because he was running away. He was breaking all. He put Dolores in a terrible situation.
Well, he's just trying to get out of that hospital.
Yeah, I understand.
He doesn't want to be
that,
there
but,
anymore.
Yeah,
he leaves like 3 times.
But yeah, I felt like anxiety at the beginning of this movie, but near the end of it, I quite enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Once Jennifer Lawrence really starts getting into this movie, I started feeling a little bit better about it. But the beginning was stressing me.
Yeah, I normally don't like when movies have people who like are not listening to each other at all and are talking over each other constantly. That does give me a little bit of anxiety. It's why I did not care for Uncut Gems. I don't mind it so much with this one, I guess, because also I do kind of like that in the first half hour or so you're sort of uncovering things about these people. You're like, why is he in there? Why is he leaving now? What happened with the wife? Are they gonna get back together? No. Okay, there's a restraining order. Okay, like you're kind of piecing it together a little bit, which I appreciate. Like it's not just all told you
right away
up front. They kind of trust you to figure out what's going on as they reveal it.
It's interesting that you like this movie based on how you like the episode of The Bear where the family has a family reunion.
Oh, the Seven Fishes one?
Yeah, I felt like there's a lot of similar energy.
Yeah, there is, but that was way more.
That was chaos for an hour, and
this one is. You get some breaks with this one. So I do think like over the movie it does mellow out a little bit, and I think that's supposed to kind of signal that like Bradley Cooper's mellowing out a little bit, so is everyone else, because so Bradley Cooper in this has bipolar disorder. That's what he's diagnosed with, and he's going to therapy for it. But he's not the only one in this movie who is struggling with like mental health issues or a mental illness. Like almost everyone has something going on.
Yeah, it felt like the message of the movie is we're all not doing well.
Yeah, so his dad, Robert De Niro, they mentioned he has some like OCD tendencies.
Yes.
And then Bradley Cooper's friend is played by John Ortiz. Has like a lot of stress that he's dealing with in his marriage.
His wife seems perfect though.
Julia Stiles.
Yeah, there's. She seems like a narcissist, like crazy sociopath.
Oh, interesting. I didn't put together maybe like narcissism for her. She's just like a little bit maybe controlling or like some perfectionism going on.
Yeah, I mean near the end of the movie what she does, and we'll get to it later, but it's just like you're being a real jerk here. Oh,
yeah. And then Jennifer Lawrence also, they don't really say what she has. There isn't like an official.
She says depression.
She mentions that she's been on medication that is normally used for depression. Some like psychiatrists who have been asked about the film kind of semi-diagnose her with like borderline personality disorder. So something a little bit more just generalized.
What a job. What a job to be a therapist who has to analyze how an actor is acting and what mental things that they have in the movie.
I don't think that's a job. I think that's someone's full job.
Let me bring in an expert witness that we pay $1,000 an hour. Is Jennifer Lawrence depressed? Actually, it goes quite deeper than that.
Yeah,
and
I guess.
Please refer to her as Tiffany.
Right, Tiffany. Tiffany. She doesn't seem like a Tiffany to me.
No, I think the names are all kind of bad in this movie.
I agree. They should have different names.
Ex-wife named Nikki is not a good ex-wife name. Now, I lived in Philadelphia a little bit. I didn't mean any Nickies, so it doesn't seem like a Philly thing.
Nikki and Tiffany both sound like teenagers.
I think, yeah, it does.
So that throws things a little bit.
Now, this is in Jersey? You could have a Tiffany and a Nikki.
But it's not.
No, it's
It's in
Philly.
the suburbs of Philly.
So I lived in the suburbs of Philly, south of Philadelphia, not in South Philly, just south of Philadelphia. Born and
Okay.
raised. No, not born, not nor raised. But I've been to the King of Prussia Mall that they mentioned in the movie. Huge mall, great mall. Highly recommend the mall. If you like Mall of America, but you want to be on the East Coast, King of Prussia Mall is the mall for you. I will say, when I lived in Philadelphia, of any place I've ever lived in, I lived in a bunch of places, for those who don't know me, worst place I've ever lived. The meanest people, just the biggest jerks.
This is not why I picked this movie, so that you could hate on Philadelphia.
I just feel like
I don't think that's what the people
I feel like
want.
the people need to know what Philadelphia is actually like, and it's not great. I would not.
How long did you live there?
I
And at what age?
I was in 6th to 7th grade.
Great. Okay, a time when most people are having a bad time.
Yeah, I was in.
Yeah, I don't
was-
think we should blame the city.
I was in middle school, and we had a fox live under our deck, and he was a nice fox, good guy. That was a good memory. We lived near the woods, but the people, I tell you, the people.
How many people are you meeting when you're 12? You're
Yeah,
not
I was a-
interacting with that many adults.
I was a bit of a social darling.
No, you weren't.
I was going to balls. I was going to dances. Everybody wanted a piece of young Joe Bates. But no, anyways, Philadelphia, crap city. I hate the Eagles, I hate the Phillies, and I like the 76ers for 1 year. Anyways, yes,
Cool.
if there's a city where everybody has a mental illness, I would say it's Philadelphia, the place where they booed Santa Claus.
Great. We'll just put that out there, and people can do with that what they want to.
Okay.
Now, how do you think Bradley Cooper does? This is like kind of his first
Yeah, this is right after The
mainstream
Hangover.
serious role. Yeah, so he's done the Hangover films, and before that it was mostly, like Wedding Crashers, like it's mostly comedies. And so this is a more serious turn for him, and I think kind of like opened up a lot of other more serious opportunities. Do you feel like he plays this realistically? Is he, believable?
I feel like the intensity of Bradley Cooper has just always been existent.
He's very intense.
And he
yeah.
seems like someone who's like, I need to do this. I want to win an Oscar. Like, the way his mentality is in this seems like he is in real life, which is probably why this did so well for him.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't like such a stretch.
No, it just seems like he's like, really, I have to do this, and if I'm not doing this, something's wrong. Now you throw in the paranoia and all that stuff and like kind of thing, but I feel like it is kind of who he is in real life.
So you think like his outbursts and like when he's, he's frequently going in and waking up his parents in the middle of the night because
Yes.
he disagrees with a Hemingway book or he can't find his wedding video. Like,
Yes.
You think real Bradley Cooper would do that?
I'm telling you, if I was watching Bradley Cooper have a conversation with his agent and the agent was talking about his life, he would direct it back to what next movie he needs to do this or this.
Interesting. I do think Bradley Cooper is a nice person.
Yeah, I mean, people
That's
like working
my
with him and stuff. He
understanding,
probably is, and he's a very good actor.
He also, in A Star is Born, plays someone who is depressed, might be bipolar as well. I'm not entirely sure.
I've never seen A Star is Born, so I don't know.
All right, put that one on the list. That's such a good movie.
Oh, we went from getting silly with Ben Stiller to hanging with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. What else we got to talk about this movie here?
What else?
We mentioned her. I do love a Julia Stiles sighting.
Me too. And this is a fun, like, small part
Yeah.
for her.
I thought a lot of people don't like her season in Dexter. Loved her in Dexter. She just, I haven't seen, what's the one where she teaches black people how to do their own dance?
Oh my gosh, that's not what it is. Save the Last Dance.
Save the Last Dance. Yeah, she
doesn't teach that. They teach her.
She
Joe.
teaches them ballet and they teach her hip hop dancing.
Oh, you don't get it. Okay, I guess now we have a few movies
Okay.
to watch. Okay, so
It's gonna be a while with Julia Stiles.
yeah, it's gonna be a while with Julia Stiles. Yeah, she's great. What do you think? It's a pretty good cast, I would say.
It is a solid. I mean, of course, you get Robert De Niro, you get Bradley Cooper, you get Jennifer Lawrence. Again, we just talked about them being at the whole nominated at the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
I do like John Ortiz as his friend. I think he shines. This is, obviously he's got the Rush Hour series.
Right.
Obviously he's got the Rush Hour series, but Chris Tucker, really, and there's a movie I want to show you eventually called The Fifth Element. He just owns it when he has a role like that, which is just crazy. I really enjoyed him in this movie. There was a moment I thought he was going to try to sleep with Jennifer Lawrence, and I was like, I don't want this to happen.
When he's helping them with the dance?
Yeah, it felt like there was a little bit of a moment that was like, this is going to go very chaotic.
So he shows up. It's another time that he's managed to get out of the hospital, and he goes to find Bradley Cooper, who is at dance rehearsal with Jennifer Lawrence. They're getting ready for the dance competition. And he comes in and they show him what they've got. And he's like, it's not great. You got to do better. And then he
gotta
like
pop those hips.
Yeah. So then he's demonstrating a little bit and he helps him out. And it's just a nice little scene.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, it was, and then he left and then everything was fine.
And then...
And going back to John Ortiz.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper's other friend. Who's married to Julia Stiles and struggling.
This is the weird thing, because it's probably Bradley Cooper allowing this to happen, but it feels like John Ortiz takes the eye every time he's in a scene. Like, you're paying attention to what John Ortiz is doing more than anybody else.
I think maybe it's because you kind of expect that at certain points throughout the film, Bradley Cooper's going to lose it a little bit. Pat's going to lose it, because he does. Like, when he first goes into the therapist's office.
Terrible therapist.
Bad therapist.
Terrible therapist. The first thing he does is play the song that triggers him into a rage.
He plays the Bradley Cooper's wedding song.
The same, the same wedding song he heard when he found out his wife was cheating on him. Yeah,
plays that in the lobby. And so Bradley Cooper kind of loses it there, understandably, I guess.
Look,
I don't know.
Let me tell you something. If you're suffering from like a bipolar disorder with signs of like paranoia, and you go in there and they start playing it, and then you go like, he did this because of this, and you're like, okay, he's just paranoid. And then you find out, no, this is just true. His paranoia is proven true, which is like the worst thing you can do for someone suffering from paranoia.
The therapist also, in a later session, explicitly says to Pat, Bradley Cooper, he says, maybe if you become friends with Tiffany, Jennifer Lawrence, Nikki will get back together with you. Nikki has a restraining order against Bradley Cooper, and also she was cheating on him. So, like, why do we even really want them getting back together? That's a question.
Yeah, it's so weird, because I do feel like nobody really wants them getting back together outside the therapist and Bradley Cooper. Pat, his name's Pat.
Yeah.
I will call him Pat when I can. It's tough to not call him Bradley Cooper when you see Bradley Cooper. We watched Maestro, and I was like, wow, Bradley Cooper can conduct.
Yeah, it's still Bradley Cooper, just with a prosthetic nose. What do you think about the parents? We haven't talked too much about them. Do you think that, like, is Robert De Niro a good dad in this, or...
In the second half of the movie, he's an amazing actor. I didn't like him in the first half of the movie. No, he's not a good dad.
Because he doesn't have a job anymore. He got laid off. And instead he's doing bookmaking, which is just running a gambling.
Yeah. He's basically taking people's bets and paying out and everything. So he's just kind of a bookie. So
and he's also very superstitious about
part of the OCD thing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to give away too much of my own life. I feel like I understand this parenting style.
Great.
And it is like kind of it's very emotional. Everyone gets emotional, and then you just relax like nothing happened. And that leads to some issues down the line.
Yeah, he does. Like, he'll tell Pat sometimes, like, I love you, we're going to get through this. I wish that we were closer. I wish we spent more time together. But then kind of the minute that Pat gets emotional, he's like, let's not talk about that. Just sit down and watch football. Just sit down. Let's just ignore it. Don't go in my study. Let's just hang out. Let's just sit.
He's so ready to turn on his son too at any moment something goes wrong, where it can't be his fault. It just he's not a good parent.
What about Dolores, the mom, played by Jackie Weaver?
Now I don't think she's great either. She's
a little passive.
She kind of like strengthens a lot of flaws that everyone has. I mean, she took him out of the hospital before he should have been taken out of the hospital.
Yeah, and didn't tell Robert De Niro, Pat Sr., that she was going to do that.
and told Bradley Cooper, who was like exercising and trying to get his life better, that he needs to do what Pat Sr. says to watch the football game, which he clearly does not want to do. And is like, that is also kind of a trigger for him that he's trying to stay away from.
Yeah. So
crabby snacks aside.
I
do like that the therapist portrays like mindfulness in a way. I practice mindfulness. I do like that. There was I did feel like this felt like an episode of Love on the Spectrum that got cut.
Oh God.
Just based on only because early on the way Tiffany and Pat talk to each other,
where they're kind of like talking past each other a little bit.
Yeah, and like being blunt and just saying like just sentences.
They say that they have no filter. So let's get into their kind of relationship. Perfect. So Bradley Cooper gets he gets home and then runs into his friend. He's, out running, getting back in shape. He runs into his friend, John Ortiz, and he's like, hey, come over. We're going to have a dinner party. We want to see you come by. So Bradley Cooper shows up, and then turns out that Tiffany, Jennifer Lawrence, Julia Stiles' sister, is coming, and she is somewhat recently widowed. Her husband was a police officer and got in a car accident and died. And so she hasn't been handling that well. And they are at this dinner together, and they just are like, so blunt with each other. And then they just leave partway through. They're just like, we don't want to be here anymore. And they leave and walk home.
Yes, she asked him to walk her home, and he says yes. And then they just keep having this terrible discussion on the walk home.
Yeah, pretty much. And then she's like, offers to sleep with him, and he says, no, I'm married. And she says, so am I. And he goes, your husband's dead. That's not the same.
Tiffany's husband is dead in the movie, and
I just said that. What is wrong with you? I just said he got hit by a car.
Oh my gosh. I was so focused at the end of the sentence, I never thought to listen to the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
It's really hard for me to do two things at once, which is listening and thinking.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's why I'm just a man of action, baby. Don't think, just do.
What do you think about them? So initially not great together. How do you feel about kind of the development of their relationship?
Up to the point where they're talking in the restaurant, where they're doing the scene that I saw in my acting class, where she's telling him that she slept with everybody at her work.
Yeah, got fired.
And I hope they realize medication is okay, because they all seem to be very anti-medication.
Yeah.
And it does seem at the end he goes, I am like taking medication now. He did say that, but I didn't like that message in the movie.
Yeah, this is like 12 years ago. I do think there was still a little bit more of a stigma around that.
And then, not that it's the only solution. You should do therapy and that, whatever. I did write under that. None of this is likable.
They're not especially likable characters.
Yeah, I then wrote, he is worse than John Cusack in High Fidelity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he has
stalkerish,
bipolar disorder.
Violent.
He's not that violent.
No, it depends. I mean, he's not that violent, but I feel like there was an incident earlier he like kind of referenced to before the affair that he also was like kind of like violent. Sometimes this feels like a Black Mirror episode.
What? What does that mean?
Because the way they do like zooms, like they zoom in really weird sometimes.
Oh. So the cinematography, some people have likened it a little bit to like how reality TV is shot, where you're kind of following the characters a bit more as these things are happening to them. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that didn't come across as clear. I thought for a second, like, maybe it's, like, trying to throw you off with the way they're zooming in, but they kept doing it throughout the movie. That didn't change, kind of thing. So, but, again, when they start dancing, I'm like, this is great. I love this. When they're dancing together, you can see the chemistry. You can feel it. You can feel them understanding their chemistry better, too, in the movie. The once they start dancing, this movie... There's a full 180 for me.
So, yeah, so they practice for quite a while. And while they are doing that, you know, she promises him that she will get a letter to Nikki from him, which is the only way he can reach her because of the restraining order. So he brings her a letter. Eventually, she says, Nikki wrote you back, gives him a letter.
Yes. There's a twist in this, which I think everyone understands in the movie.
Then we come to find out that Jennifer Lawrence wrote the Nikki letter. Do you think she was in the wrong for doing that?
Yes.
Did you know she did that?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it was
Like,
clear what
immediately,
she
before it
was
was
trying to
revealed.
do. Like, I knew she was. She'd been showing that she lies like a lot early
she does
on.
lie, yeah.
So when she said she could do the letter thing, I was like, okay, she's still lying. So yeah, the dancing I got really back at. I really appreciated. You know what? I looked at my notes here. The one scene that changed it for me, and I didn't like it at first, was when Bradley Cooper goes to the parents' house and they think he's a creep. And then the other creep shows up, and I just felt like I hated that so much. And then he stands up for her, and when he stands up for her, it changed my whole mood on the entire movie.
Yeah, so he goes to Jennifer Lawrence's parents' house to find her. They're supposed to practice or something.
Yes.
Or what was he going there for?
He wanted to see her again. It was before they started doing the dancing thing, because then she meets up with them to say, I can get a letter to... She had mentioned it in the restaurant, and then he kind of like cut it off and then couldn't stop thinking about it, so he went back to her.
Okay. Yeah, and then there's that guy, because he's like, wants to date her. Yeah. Yeah, and then the dancing starts, and they get into that. Did you think that they would be good at the dancing?
Yes.
Really?
So I will say this, that if I had never seen the movie before, or if I had seen the movie when it came out, I probably wouldn't have. But when I know that he studied for like 3 years to learn how to conduct for an orchestra, for Maestro, I was like, Bradley Cooper is not going to do this without being able to dance well.
Okay, so you do think that they do a good job at the end in the competition. So they do a competition at the end, which there's high stakes because Robert De Niro got into some bad bets with his friend, and now there's a parlay where not only do the Eagles have to beat the Cowboys, but Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence have to average a 5 out of 10 in this dance competition against professional dancers.
Yes, like, let me say this. I don't think it's like the greatest dance you've ever seen in your life. They do that big trick thing that's all messed up and really super weird looking.
Where he like lifts her into the air, but her crotch is just in his face.
Yeah, but I do think the dancing was fun. There seemed to be some choreography to it. They seemed to memorize all of it. I thought it was good dancing.
They do a little bit of the Singing in the Rain dance,
they
like
do
halfway
that good?
through. And then they do some weird jumping.
Yeah, they do some weird jumping. With the montage of them dancing, I think is good dancing, which kind of leads me to think it's good dancing later on.
Yeah. So a fun fact about the dancing is the choreographer for this movie is named Mandy Moore. Not
A-list celebrity Mandy Moore?
Not that Mandy
Moore. The
Moore.
star of a generation?
Not that one. Just another woman named Mandy Moore.
Mandy Moore should be dating Travis Kelce.
What?
I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense. Although weird that you say that, because this Mandy Moore, the choreographer, was also the choreographer for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour.
Oh, I could tell that.
And, well, so it's kind of a weird way that this happened. So Taylor Swift has said that she found Mandy Moore because she was recommended to Taylor by her friend Emma Stone, because Emma Stone worked with Mandy Moore on La La Land, and Emma was like, I'm not a good dancer, and Taylor is famously not a good dancer.
She did a lot of great dancing in Shake It Off.
Okay. So she got recommended there. But as you know, Emma Stone and Jennifer Lawrence, very good friends. And this came out before La La Land. So I think that, like, that's the chain of
trajectory.
events
Wow.
there. Yeah. Which I just thought was funny.
That is pretty funny. And go back to the parlay bet for why they do it. There's a couple.
Sure.
The guy he bets with that's the guy from Little Miss Sunshine.
Okay.
What's his name?
Steve Carell.
No.
Just kidding.
What the heck?
I don't know
The
his name.
grandpa who dies. It's like Alan Arca, maybe, or something like that.
No, that is not correct.
Yeah, Alan Arkin.
Okay. He looks really different.
He does look really different. I do think that's the same guy.
Wait, no, so you just looked up who was in Little Miss Sunshine and not who was in this movie that we're talking about right now?
I'm saying it is this. I know it's the same guy. I'll look it up. I'll check it out, but I am almost absolutely sure.
That's just such a bizarre way to look up this fact.
Guess what?
What?
Looks like I was wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Why are you looking up the thing you're trying? That doesn't make any sense what you just did.
It's Paul Herman. You're right. I was totally wrong. So the betting, talking about the betting, the parlay, the guy's a Cowboys fan. Now, don't get me wrong. The Eagles have not won a Super Bowl in a long time. The Cowboys have definitely won a bunch of Super Bowls in the 90s. But at the time of this movie, the Cowboys have done jack shit for like 15 years.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird this guy is bragging that much to him when the Eagles had been much more dominant in those 15 years and like beating the Cowboys, and the Giants have been doing it. So I was a little odd. I felt as a sports fan, I was like, this guy's, you just tell him his team sucks because his team sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like, they are talking about a lot of different games in this movie. They're referencing, like, the Phillies played this guy and the Eagles played this. And I don't know if any of that is accurate. I looked up whether it was accurate, and it says yes for the year 2008.
Yeah, so the
It
Phillies...
says it follows, like, basically the 2008 season.
Yeah, the Phillies went to the World Series and lost. They had Ryan Howard as a big guy that year. So, like, I was aware of what was going on sports-wise and what they were talking about. So, 2000...
Did you know it was 2008?
I couldn't. I'm not good at dates like that. Okay. But I do
I mean,
remember
that's just
the
from
time.
the internet, so who knows?
I remember the Phillies in the World Series with Chase Utley.
They talk about football so much in this. You don't see hardly any football happen in this movie.
No.
Like, you literally just see a little bit of the game at the end where they're playing the Cowboys. There's like a TV on at the dance competition, and like that is it, because they go to a game at one point and they don't get in.
Well, they go the tailgating goes awry because the therapist is terrible.
All right.
And there's race.
That wasn't his fault. That was the racist
It's racism fault, not his fault. I agree. But the therapist has got to be aware, like, hey, you need to stay back, dude. Like,
yeah. Well, so Pat tries to... Okay, so they're tailgating, and then his therapist is there, and his therapist is Indian, and then these guys come by, and...
They're both Eagles fans.
Yeah, and they're both Eagles fans. These guys come by, and they start harassing the
racist.
therapist and his buds, and so then Bradley Cooper's brother...
Of Philly.
Okay. Pat's brother gets, heated about it, and then Pat's trying to stay out of it, but
it's tough.
Then they start beating up his brother, so then he has to get
come
involved.
in there,
His family.
So De Niro ends up betting all this money so he can get a restaurant with this guy.
Yeah,
and I wrote
get a restaurant going. They don't really talk about the restaurant at all.
No,
they just like mention it, but then like he's never cooking or like doing restaurant things.
It's a highly based Krabby Snacks restaurant.
The Krabby Shacks.
The Krabby
Snack Shack.
Krabby Shack at the Krabby Snacks at the Krabby Shack. I wrote, I hate the Eagles so much. I want De Niro to lose the restaurant.
Oh no, that's not nice.
I think the movie's good. I do like that they talk about sports so much, and there isn't just some weird cameo by Eagles player that's like, hey, I heard you like the Eagles. Some movies do that kind of stuff, and I appreciate that they didn't. They talk about Deshaun Jackson a lot, who played forever in the NFL. He played like 40 years. He was like the Tom Brady of wide receivers, except without all the Super Bowl wins. But he played for a long time. I did like that whole thing, him wearing the jersey. I do like people just talking highly of players to each other, like a normal conversation, where a guy conversation is just saying, Deshaun Jackson, yeah. And then they just go, that was a good conversation.
Yeah, I think that this, like, it's not really about the football, and it's not even really about the gambling or the dancing. It's about, like, the connections that you build with people through those things. So, like, the family kind of connects over football, and then Pat and Tiffany connect over the dancing. So I think it's supposed to be a little bit like you can use these things to form relationships, and the relationships are what? Positive relationships.
Yes,
not ones where
positive.
your wife is cheating on you with a history teacher. The positive relationships are what, like, can help you be more mentally healthy, I guess.
Focusing on people that are giving you good personal time together kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's like kind of a nice message.
Yeah.
Do you think, so you said that when they're dancing, Brad and Tiffany, now I'm mixing them up, but Brad and Tiffany sounds like it makes more sense. Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence have more chemistry when they're dancing. Do you feel like they are believable, that they are like into each other?
Yes.
Like they are a good pairing?
Again, that's why like I felt I liked the movie better, because I can actually see the chemistry between them. Him calming down, her kind of focusing on him and trying to figure that out. She does a lot of heavy lifting for him, and almost to like a detriment, because what he's going through, lying to him isn't the greatest thing, and that seems to be her strategy for 80% of the relationship.
Lying. I mean, she gets his parents to start lying to him.
Yes.
Saying that Nikki's going to be at the dance competition.
So many lies.
Which then Nikki is at the dance competition. Yikes.
Why is Nikki here? Julia Stiles is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, so Julia Stiles invites Nikki to the dance competition because she's like, well, maybe we can get, she can see how well he's doing, and then he'll be able to, I don't know, be with his cheating wife again.
I think they just want they want her to pull the restraining order, because that just is a hassle overall.
For them.
Like, I think that's what, it's for everybody. It's just like, it would be good if this was gone.
Yeah.
And then maybe that helps him get his job back. And other such things. History teacher, that one lady says that her and the history teacher are still together, or no? It was just a one-time thing.
I don't know.
So Nikki shows up at the dance thing, and I gotta be honest, I don't know what Bradley Cooper ever saw in her. She seems like, not like looks-wise, she just seems miserable. She seems like just a miserable person.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you expect from her.
Well, Bradley Cooper puts her on this pedestal and loves her so much, so you just think it's going to be, like, there would be some sort of positivity that you get from her, some sort of, like, oh, that's what he sees in her, that's what it is, but it's just, like, never there.
This woman has no lines in the movie. I don't know. What are you wanting her to do? Magic? Like,
Yeah. I'd like a little magic.
She has, like, no line. She has lines during the flashback to the incident where she's like, no, stop. And then, like, that's it.
That is true. I feel like, I guess they're just, Nikki doesn't matter in this movie. He needs to get past this thing that doesn't matter, so they want to portray her that way. But I don't like the idea of this one person just being like, everyone is like, I don't know, such a negative thing on his life, so that, like, even you were like, oh, she cheated on you, like, it just kind of, I feel like there should be some depth outside this person's only there to have cheated on her husband.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Maybe they go into it more in the book, but
Yeah, that probably is. They probably like flashbacks in the book or something like that.
Yeah.
If I wrote a book, I would
Okay.
put flashbacks in it.
But yeah, in this, really, her purpose is just to exist. And all of this other stuff can happen as a result. Okay, so you do Jennifer Lawrence is great in this, and this is what she won an Oscar for. This is her Oscar win. She got nominated, and so did Bradley Cooper and De Niro and Jackie Weaver. They got nominated in all 4 acting categories.
Oh, the mom got nominated too.
Yes. It had 8 Oscar noms, including all 4 acting categories, and then also Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Cinematography.
Who won Best Picture that year for Silver Linings Playbook? Because I felt like it was up there. Like, people thought it was going to take it.
Okay, that year, it did lose Best Picture to Argo.
Oh. Mm-hmm. That was kind of a surprise because Ben Affleck didn't get nominated for director that year. So it's kind of like they rewarded him. Yeah, that was a weird year. Because I think Silver Linings Playbook was like at least in the top 3 favorites to win that year for Best Picture.
Yeah, I think it could have. Best Director, David Russell, who directed this, lost to Ang Lee for Life of Pi.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and then... So Jennifer Lawrence won Best Actress. Best Actor was Daniel Day-Lewis for Lincoln. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Supporting Actor was Christoph Waltz for Django Unchained.
Yeah.
And Supporting Actress was Anne Hathaway for Les Mis.
Oh, okay. Good for her.
Interesting. Argo won Best Adapted Screenplay. So it lost out there.
Yeah,
and
so
then
that's interesting.
Cinematography.
Yeah, people loved Argo too. But I was surprised because I felt like people were talking about this movie a lot. Because it was these two like next level, these next generation stars with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, it got a lot of. It also won like Globes, BAFTA, SAG, or got nominated. And Jennifer Lawrence won a lot of those. She's the 2nd youngest winner in the category, so she was 22 when she filmed this.
And Bradley Cooper was
38.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
Not good. Her character in the book is supposed to be like mid-30s. And she definitely, I think, comes across as 22 in this. Like, I do think she does a really good job, but she just feels a little bit too young to be a widow in this. Like, that part isn't very believable to me.
I agree with that. I do like, and I believe it's probably in the book with him running all the time. But to me, I like the idea that him running and exercising was something they made up just to explain why Bradley Cooper was so hot. Because he was that hot. Why would you sleep with that history teacher?
Yeah. I guess that's true. Mark Wahlberg also was originally cast for this.
Okay. That's terrible.
When you're saying like, oh, someone like getting in shape and stuff, like I get that for him. I don't feel like he could have done...
Mark Wahlberg?
The emotional part.
Mark Wahlberg would have been terrible. We saw him in that. We saw that Priest Stew or whatever. That terrible trailer where he's a.
Well, so David Russell also directed The Fighter.
Okay,
a couple years prior to this.
He was good in that. I'll give Wahlberg was good in The Fighter.
And David Russell also has a tendency of like working with a lot of the same actors over and over.
Okay.
So he also directed Joy, which came out in 2015 and had Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper in it again. Mm-hmm. He also directed American Hustle, that came out in 2013. So again, Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, also Amy Adams and Christian Bale, who were in The Fighter in 2010. Like, there's just a lot of crossover.
And The Fighter was so good.
And he most recently directed Amsterdam, also Christian Bale.
Which is not good.
Yeah, it wasn't great. The reason that it's like...
And Taylor Swift. Was Mandy Moore involved?
Oh my gosh. The reason I think it's like interesting that some stars continue to work with him over and over is he has like a history of being really abusive to his actors.
That makes sense for Bradley Cooper because he's like, this is the only way I can do it.
Amy Adams has said she won't work with him anymore. Christian Bale like had to stand up for her one time and like get in David Russell's face because he was being like so awful to Amy Adams, I think on the set of American Hustle. George Clooney got like in a fight with him one time. Lily Tomlin's been in a fight with him. He supposedly assaulted Christopher Nolan at some point back in the day.
Can I be honest? I'm most scared of dealing with Lily Tomlin of all the people you just listed.
Yeah. So she had said, well, so this is what's interesting is she's like, yeah, we fought a lot and I he's really harsh and like pretty mean to his actors. But I would rather work with someone who's like passionate and committed to the work than someone who's like, yeah, do whatever you want and nice about it. So I guess it's one of those things where like, I don't know, either you're okay with that or you're not. And sometimes bad treatment can get the results you want. But I think, so Amy Adams has said like, yeah, I can't work with him because I don't have thick enough skin to do that. She's like, Jennifer Lawrence, like you can kind of throw anything at her and she's like Teflon, like doesn't stick to her. But that's not who I am. So because of that, I can't keep working with him.
That makes sense.
Anyway, so I don't know. Interesting guy, but he's made a lot of good movies. Yeah. So that's David Russell. And this was very successful. The budget for this, $20 million.
Okay.
I just want to remind you, High Fidelity's budget was $30 million.
I mean, to be fair, I think the movies are the same level of like production design and all that stuff. Just and they probably didn't pay Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence that much money.
Robert De Niro's in this.
Yeah, De Niro probably got most of the money.
I guess so. It was only $20 million. It made $235.5 million at the box office.
Oh, so just under what High Fidelity made.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
It's like over. I mean, it was commercially successful, critically successful. It has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was nominated for Oscars. Jennifer Lawrence won an Oscar. Like all around, it is I think people would say it's a successful movie.
Yeah. No, that's like not. It's not it's not fully superhero craze yet, but it's interesting to see a movie do that well. Yeah. That's like this kind of movie.
Well, I think it's people really like when there is, an Oscar movie that is really palatable and like can appeal. This is technically a romance comedy it's like a dramedy, I guess.
Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah, it's very also Oscars. So yeah, I think people are like pretty inclined to go see that sort of thing.
No, definitely parts of the movie I liked. That was funny. I think the my last note I wrote, it felt like an earned happy ending.
Yeah,
which was
nice. They had to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, so it didn't feel like there was a couple of points where I thought everything was going to go fall apart miserably and go terrible. And it was kind of nice because I thought Bradley Cooper would be the reason for this, and it felt like everybody else was the reason, and he was kind of the confident, concrete, stable person to help everybody else out, which was a nice like thing at the end of the movie.
Yeah, even though they're not the most likable people, you are kind of rooting for them towards the end, except for you, who doesn't want De Niro to get a restaurant.
Well, he never does, because the bet is double or nothing, which means he either pays double the bet or the bet's off. So he still needs the money for the restaurant. He's still got to raise that money.
I guess I thought it was like whoever wins gets the double.
No, so if I bet you $5 and you won, I go double or nothing, and you take it, you either get $10 or there's no more bet.
That's confusing. I don't understand gambling at all.
Okay.
And that's why I don't do it.
Yep, that's why you don't do it.
Yeah, for a number of reasons.
All right.
Okay, so do you have a good take from this movie?
This is a good takeaway.
Okay.
Bradley Cooper is clearly a star. Jennifer Lawrence is clearly a star, and it's really nice to see their first movie and to see how like accurate like their careers are going to be later on. I like where Jennifer Lawrence is now, where she's like, oh, we can do comedy right now, because she can always go back to making Oscar movies and all that stuff at any point. So right now she's just having fun.
Yeah.
And Bradley Cooper is, well, he's going to be a maniac trying to make Oscar-winning movies the rest of his life, it feels like.
Pretty much. I mean, he's not bad. So after this, he did like American Sniper. Like he really went into serious roles, and I think he is a good actor.
No, he is a good actor. I'm not. When I say like
intense,
he's intense and all that stuff, it's not saying he's not that he's a bad actor. He's very, very good. This is a bad takeaway. The only way to be healthy is to be in a relationship.
Yeah,
it does feel like the only way you're gonna make it is you find this other pretty lady who's 16 years younger than you.
That's not a great message from it.
And this is a medium takeaway. Honestly, I still can't stop thinking about the speed and the way they run at the very end of the movie when she runs away from the dance and he chases her, because it's not fast enough, but it's not slow enough. It's just like medium fake running. And it bothered me so much because it was like, hey, you can't run too fast because you got to be in the shot here. So she can't, but he was too far away. So it's just like this lingering speed. I hated it. I hated it so much.
I didn't pick up on that.
I picked up on it.
Okay. All right, noted. Would you say, Joe Bates?
I will marry you.
No. Would you say that Silver Linings Playbook is a good movie?
Yes, I would say this is a good movie. This Oscar-nominated movie with a charismatic cast that isn't Coda. Yes, I think it is a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty hard to say it's not a good movie. You can know, like, I get if it's not for you, and I do get what you're saying about the first.
I did think I was gonna
being like not your cup of tea.
I mean, I really, my first half of my notes, I really was like, this is not good. I don't like how I feel, and I'm not enjoying this in any way or form. And then it turns
you
around.
really turned around.
It's an earned happy ending.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, that's Silver Linings Playbook. A good movie. So far, that's our 9th episode.
Cool.
8 of the 9 have been good movies.
And what will be our 10th episode?
Ooh, so I've been thinking about what you've been saying, how we've been stuck in the 1999 to 2005 range for a long time.
We have.
And you've pulled us forward in time.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to push us back in time.
Okay.
And we're going a real boy classic, real men's movie, and we're going to watch RoboCop. Okay. It's a robot, he's a cop, and it's Detroit. And the Detroit Lions are about to go to the Super Bowl, hopefully this weekend when they beat the Niners, and I think it's time to talk about Detroit.
You just want to talk about Tim Robinson.
A little bit.
All right, well, I will prepare for RoboCop. Can't wait for that. Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. If you want to, stay in touch in between these episodes, you can follow us on social media. We are at TIAGM Pod on Instagram. We also have a Gmail if you want to send us an email for any reason.
The Gmail is at TIAGMpodcast@gmail.com.
I knew that. Thank you. And we're also on YouTube. This is a good movie podcast. Go, follow and subscribe and like.
Help.
And
please subscribe.
Subscribes help. Please subscribe, says Joe. And that's where we'll be. Go watch our little videos that we make.
Yeah, I make little videos. But yeah, that's it. That's the episode. This is a good movie podcast.
This is a good movie podcast, and this has been a great conversation.
Podcast.
We love you. Bye.
Bye, sweethearts.
This is a good movie podcast with Katie and Joe.